Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be doing some more requested reaction videos, and this video is requested by Galaxy Sonic, and it's going to be third-party controllers by Scott the Woz. Of course, more Scott the Woz. Everyone's always requesting more Scott the Woz. But yeah, let's check out the video, shall we? Let's go.
Hey y'all, Scott here. I'm on
Hey,
life support
Scott.
now. No reason, just felt like it. I've been told the machine I'm hooked up to is doing some pretty great stuff. It's efficient, it's useful, it's made by Mad Cats.
Mad?
I should probably start proofreading my will.
Did you know hands can hold garbage and f***ing garbage? Game controllers are fairly understated in the
Wireless
grand
GameCube
scheme of
controller,
things. I
cool.
mean, as long as you can reach all the buttons at once, that shouldn't be an issue, right? They are ridiculously important to the gaming experience.
Oh, yeah.
But that importance comes at a price. As the years have gone on, official game controllers have risen in cost significantly.
Oh,
We
shit,
go
yeah,
from
it's
the
like
GameCube
60
controller
bucks
retailing
for
for
a controller.
$19.99 to my scheduled laugh at the Switch Pro controller's price point. The prices of game controllers can be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
sometimes
all the way
costing
to
nearly as much as a new
$150
game,
for the
sometimes
Razer
costing as
controllers.
much as a new game, more than a new game. $70, man. I found a mattress for that much. I will admit, stuff like the Nintendo Switch Pro controller and DualShock 4 have a lot of random junk thrown into them, and at least kind of explains why the prices are so much higher than controllers in the past. But then the Xbox One controller is pretty much identical to the Xbox 360 controller
Yeah,
in terms of
I use
features,
this.
and it's $65. Did all the money go into giving the thumbsticks tire tracks? Controllers can be expensive.
Yo,
You
yeah.
can probably make it by with just the one that came bundled with your console,
It
but
depends,
what
if
wanna
you
play a local
customize the
multiplayer
controller.
game, or what if your controller breaks for some reason? You're gonna need an extra controller, and the official ones, those can be pricey.
Damn
but
right.
you always have other options.
They give these away with
Oh,
car
Jesus.
stereos.
Third-party controllers not made by the company who makes the console. You never know what you're gonna
Ooh,
get with these
what's
things.
that?
Since they're
It's
made
like
by
a
a company
Wii
that had
NES
nothing to
controller.
do with the actual console, they don't have to abide by any rules, designs, or legal restrictions, nothing. Now, why would you get a third-party controller instead of a first-party one? Well, I can think of a few reasons, but most of the time, it's all about the price point. These bad boys would sometimes retail for considerably less than official controllers. You can use that money for new games and your mortgage. However, let's not throw all third-party controllers under the bus here, because I
Some of them
consider
are
them to
pretty
fall under
good.
two types: big deals or big gimmicks. Either the controller is cheaper and that's why you'd want it, or it features something the official controllers don't. Like the QuickShot controller for the NES. This isn't supposed to be a replacement controller, it's supposed to be an alternative. If you want to use a joystick with your games, whip out the coffee table, jam the stick with the suction cups, this thing ain't going anywhere. This works well for arcade-style games, or stuff like Top Gun if you're one of those people. But in
God,
terms
no,
of the
Top
controller,
Gun.
with no real advantages compared to the official controllers outside of price point, the Hanyu Explorer 1 for the NES, literally just another company's version of the NES Advantage. There isn't much reason for you to pick this up other than the fact that it's cheaper than the official Advantage controller. However, this thing has some interesting features. These top two buttons do absolutely nothing, and there's a useless battery compartment. I really have to start using this term better. In the grand scheme of third-party controllers, these ain't too bad. Third-party controllers were more so gimmicky back in the NES
Yeah,
days,
they
mainly
are
because you
gimmicky.
needed like two standard NES controllers at the very most, so for people to want other controllers, they needed to stand out. They needed to have features the regular controllers
rapid
didn't
fire or
have.
something
That called
like
for
that,
pretty much
turbo.
any unofficial controller to have turbo buttons, like
Yep,
the
there we
Turbo
go.
Touch 360
Turbo.
for the Sega Genesis. This gives me chills. We have switches to give any of the buttons turbo fire, but the star of the show here is the lack of a D-pad. I'm sure tons of people who saw this in the store went,
Yes!
you ever just use the Genesis controller and... there's too much D-pad here. Now this, I mean, no D-pad is
Why would
exactly
they
what I wanted
remove
out of a Sega
that?
Genesis controller. This is a touchpad, and it senses where your thumb is.
No, don't do
Where your
that.
thumb is. Yeah, this doesn't work very well. You don't get the precision of an actual D-pad at all.
Yeah,
I don't know
don't
if
do
this is whacking
digital
out because of old age, but I
stuff.
couldn't imagine this ever working that well when it was new.
Yeah,
but
the
hey, if you
touchscreen,
want a
no.
more standard experience, here's the Sega Genesis Owl Pad. I'm sure somebody stood by this controller like you're waiting in the living room for your date to come downstairs and you're talking to her dad about how much you like the Sega Genesis controller.
We're an Alpad family.
What is up
Oh.
with the C
Oh,
button?
Jesus.
I don't know how easy it is to see, but it is significantly stiffer than all the other buttons. The back is a soap dish. Now, if you're looking to buy retro gaming garb these days, you're likely to come across these off-brand controllers. They look pretty similar to the originals, but with a few things altered so Nintendo doesn't have a fucking aneurysm. If there's just a blank space where the Nintendo logo should be, fucking run. These things prey on people looking to buy old systems who need an extra controller. They're usually for sale at retro game shops and look almost identical to the the original controllers, but are almost always inferior in every way. Like, come on, $15? That's around the same price for an official N64 controller, but people keep buying these because they look so similar and they're brand new. At least back in the day, third-party companies respected the consumer. To differentiate themselves from the first-party companies, they made sure to add their own stupid fucking twist to their product. Introducing the Boomerang 64.
No,
the analog
that
stick
can't
fell off
be
of mine,
right.
and all that's left is a stick, so I had to improvise. Now, this isn't nearly as bad as it may seem. It is a chunk fest in my hands, but it gives you an N64 controller with a slightly more conventional layout. It has built-in rumble if you slide some AAAs in, and there are 2 whole Z buttons for maximum. But the D-pad is stiff, the L and R buttons are in totally out there locations, and overall, it's just an awkward
just
controller.
weird.
Also,
It's
the name
so-
is a lie. The SuperPad
Boomerang.
64, now this screams, oh fuck, I need a Nintendo 64 controller and only have $10. I'm gonna be saying that on my wedding night. It's a substitute, but that's all it really is. It doesn't excel at anything in
like you
comparison
whack
to the
someone
original.
over the
I mean,
head
yeah,
with
this
it.
isn't great, but I'm used to how not great it is. The SuperPad 64 just feels weird without those grips on the sides. It feels incomplete. Z feels like a gas station fuel button. The controller works, but that's all it really does. It's totally just for people who needed that one extra controller for multiplayer.
The SuperPad 64 is the type of thing I think of first when I hear the term third-party controller. Cheaper in every sense of the word. But this was made by Performance. The company I immediately think of when I hear the term third-party controller is Mad Catz.
Mad Catz.
If you walk into a building constructed by Mad Catz, get the out of there.
Get all the kids out of the room. 3, 2, 1. Jesus Christ, censor that. The only Mad Catz product I own legitimately without thinking twice about it being made by Mad Catz was my GameCube memory card, and I'm still happy to have it on me. Look at all these memories, an entire page of Nickelodeon game save files. I love gaming, but look at this, 16x, whatever the hell that means, keep it coming. I had so much storage
Probably
space
about
on this card.
16
Mad Catz
megabytes
was
back in
never
the
the
day.
worst supplier of controllers, but they were definitely known for their mediocrity. But I mean, come on, has a company who made a Dallas Cowboys PS2 controller ever steer you wrong? A lot of their controllers aren't terrible, but they're on their way up there. The Mad Catz GameCube controller, talk about undercompensation. You take a regular GameCube controller and then just warp every element of the controller until it's a shrunken, grotesque GameCube pad. Oh, and bold up the fonts on the buttons. Just by looking at this thing, there's something undeniably cheap about it. Like many of
Yeah,
these
I don't like
controllers,
that.
it works, but so does filing for bankruptcy, so whatever, different people like different things. Well, what about the Mad Catz arcade stick for the Xbox 360? With all the arcade titles available on the 360, you needed a
Don't like
good
that
arcade stick to
controller.
play them with. I still need a good arcade stick to play them with. This controller is all show, no go. You look at it and go, wow, this is everything a regular Xbox 360 controller is, but with controllers tailored for
playing
arcade
that with
games.
Halo, fuck
a
that.
joystick with a fire button on top, a spinner for games like Arkanoid, this is gonna end in heartbreak. This is just a regular thumbstick on stilts. It has such a wide range of movement. Most arcade joysticks are locked in a set number of directions. Here you have full 360-degree movement, which let me tell you now, this does not work well for Ms. Pac-Man. The entire controller itself is too tiny, like you want to be able to slam an arcade controller on a coffee table and not have to worry about it moving all over the place. No, this one's too small and light to set down and play with, but it's too big and cumbersome to hold in your hands. This has a lot of the same problems as the Atari 2600 joystick in terms of size. I can't say Mad Catz didn't try with this controller, but they didn't. But want to know who did try with their controller? Nickelodeon. Put SpongeBob in your hands.
Wow.
SpongeBob controllers for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube. I remember advertisements for these, and yep,
Yeah.
it is SpongeBob in your hands. It's a good Wednesday night
awesome.
controller. I'm not going to use it all the time, but one day a week I'm good with. You get a lot of these novelty controllers made by third parties, like a Dallas Cowboys controller, damn it. Now, you can't go talking novelty controllers without bringing up Afterglow. Yeah, I was 16 at some point. This interests me. An Afterglow Wii remote, transparent in all the right ways. Lock some batteries in, sync it up, and that is fairly disappointing. They move
Yeah.
some button placements
I don't like
around, the
transparent
1 and 2 buttons are at
controllers.
an angle. That's sort of annoying. Plus and minus are right next to the A button. Honestly, a pretty okay change. But then the home button was moved all the way to the top, and you need a damn toothpick to hit it. Well,
Yes,
why sit here and
so
whine when we can whine with even more style? A
Ooh.
Rock Candy Nunchuck. Finally a controller that answers my lucid dreams. The Nunchuck finally has an ass. It's transparent plastic as well, but because of that, we get to see some of the iffy looking wire in here. That
Ugh.
doesn't look too good. If
Yeah,
this
that
doesn't
doesn't look
scream
safe.
playing Goosebumps Horrorland, I don't know what does. Now, what if you're playing Xbox 360 and your hands start to bleed?
Oh.
Well, damn, you don't want to stop playing to dry the blood off, so introducing Airflow, the controller with a fan. You hit this button and the fan turns on.
Well, that checks out.
This is a very standard wired
To dry
Xbox
your hands
360
from
controller,
sweating.
but with LEDs and a fan with 2 different speeds. Honestly, it's good at what it does. If you're really hankering for a controller with a fan, you can do a whole lot worse than Airflow. Speaking of good third-party controllers, the Logitech wireless PS2 controller. Oh my god, this thing is really comfortable. Dare I say,
Logitech
more
controllers are
comfortable
pretty
and
good.
sturdier than the official controller. The traditional PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 controllers just aren't really my thing, but this bulks it up a bit and just melts in my hands.
Yeah, the
Also,
Logitech controllers
I
are
like the
very
blue
good.
underneath the analog sticks. Those are fun. Here we have a few controllers for the Nintendo Switch. First up is the 8BitDo SN30 Pro. I've always heard a lot about 8BitDo, damn whatever. They
Ooh,
specialize in
I
RetroOS
like
Bluetooth
this.
controllers. This one obviously taking heavy inspiration from the SNES.
Ooh, I might
And
get
yeah,
one
it's
of those.
pretty good at what it sets out to do. I don't see this as a full-on Switch Pro controller replacement, but as a supplemental controller for 2D platformers or retro stuff, then oh yeah, it's
might
good.
get that.
It also
That's
works
actually-
on PC, Android, and irrelevant, so there are a ton of uses for this thing.
I might
but
get
what about
that.
a
It's
controller
actually-
made specifically for the Nintendo Switch? Well, just your luck. Here's the PowerA wireless controller, themed after The Legend of Zelda, specifically with some Twilight Princess art. It's okay. I mean, it's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. It has motion controls. You also get these buttons on the back you can map any of the other buttons to. However, you don't get HD Rumble or NFC here. For
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
you need to
meh.
chalk up an extra $20 for the official Pro Controller. That's not worth it. The extra money may not be worth what the Pro Controller adds in terms of features, but I will say the extra $20 is worth the more premium feeling of the Pro Controller. This is perfectly fine. It does the job.
It's good
but
to
at
hang on
$50
your,
for a third-party
shelf or
controller,
something like
I'd
that.
just spring
It's
for a Pro
decoration.
Controller at that point. Here I have a bunch of PS3 controllers. Alright, first up, this is the GameStop branded one. That feels alright. Let me test out the trigger.
What?
Oh my god.
Duh.
The Tier 1 wired PS3 controller, pretty much just like an Xbox One controller. The X got rubbed off here. That means somebody must have used this thing. Rock Candy strikes again, this time with this tiny PS3 controller. This feels like something I get out of a capsule machine. Let me rewind a bit to the PS2, the TTX Tech wireless controller. I see they had to make sure the button symbols were different enough to avoid copyright problems with Sony. What are you talking about? That's not a PlayStation X, that's a Norse symbol. It's feeling like one of those B-Bon cool kind of days, you know? Here's the B-Bon cool for the Nintendo Switch.
Okay. Oh,
This hurts. Everything just doesn't feel right. These triggers, the sticks,
too
the
chunky.
D-pad.
It's too...
No.
I like
Okay,
the
I've
crisp
never
of
bought
the-
into third-party controllers before because you are almost never going to get the same experience or quality than from the first-party offerings.
Yeah.
Sure, some stand out, but 90% of the time you're asking for trouble buying these things. Oh wow, a Nyko controller. Might as well be saying, oh wow, I can't just buy a pre-owned first-party controller or save up just a little more for the official one? Sure, some of them have their place in the market, but time and time again I just ask myself, why do most of these exist? And on top of that, Mad Catz pulled a fast one on me. This isn't a life support machine. This was just a bread box!
Really enjoying that music. Okay, so that's the end of the video. That was Third Party Controllers by Scott the Woz. In fact, I was very interested in one of the controllers that I actually might buy. There was like an 8-bit controller. I can't remember what it said. It was like a NES controller, 8-bit, and it had Bluetooth on it. That's actually something I might actually look at because I've been looking to get an NES controller for my PC. That was pretty awesome. I'm gonna actually check that out. See if I can get that little thing, that little devil. Yeah, absolutely great. Third-party controllers. Some of them are absolutely god-awful terrible. And you know what? I use, other sources. This is an official Xbox 360 controller. This is a Xeox or whatever, Xeon, whatever the hell you call it controller. It has rapid fire and everything on it. It's really sturdy, really good. I don't like the official Xbox 360 controller for some reason. A lot of people go, why don't you just buy an official Xbox 360 controller? Well, this one has rapid fire, which is pretty good when you're playing Fallout 76, when you're trying to go scrapple, your junk. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe I just admitted I played Fallout 76 to everyone just right here. Don't judge, okay? Don't judge. Yes, I still play Fallout 76. Even though I absolutely hate it. I'm a victim of Bethesda, okay? Yeah, this was totally awesome. If you like this video, make sure to give a like. Comment down below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.